see if it ends up going live. I think this should be, I'll just tell. You see us?
Yep.
Yeah, we got the diehards.
Got the diehards in there.
Yes. Love you
Got
all.
Resnick, Seth, Josh Frank, Ryan Hafner back, man. Where have you been? I heard you say in the Mega Maker chat that you've been busy or something, but this is like your number one job, Ryan. Like, if you're not here, I don't know what you're doing.
We're counting on you.
Yeah, Justin doesn't have to be here.
Yeah.
But Ryan does.
Ryan has to be here. No vacations. Vacation, bro. Good to see Jay Davidson here too. Chad Timblin, thanks for your emails, man. That was nice to get those while I was on vacation. Nice to hear that it's your favorite show. That was encouraging. You had some thoughtful things to say. So let me know if we don't get to any of that. But why don't I introduce us and then we will get going. So I'll introduce myself, then Brian, then Jordan, and then we'll go. Sound good?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's see if I remember how to do this. Welcome to the panel where founders talk about building a better business and a better life. I'm Justin Jackson, co-founder of Transistor.fm.
And I'm Brian Casel, founder of Builder Methods.
And I'm Jordan Gall, founder at heyrosie.com. Great to see you guys.
It's so nice. It's really nice to come back from a vacation, and it's just like, where do you find your mooring? Where do you find your bearings? I mean, the first place is in that Telegram chat that we have. It's like, okay, check in with Jordan and Brian. What's going on? What's the pulse of the universe? I've been unplugged. And then we get back on the microphones. Everything is back as it should be.
That's right.
The band is back together. And
I do like this rhythm of like we had like Henry on last week and, a bunch of us have like different travel stuff going on. And then we kind of come back together for a catch up. I feel like today we're catching up.
That's right. That's right. We got to catch up. Lots to talk about. And I thought I would start this episode with a little story that I think might segue us into the first topic I have here. So
Yes.
I have 4 kids. And the 2 younger boys, although the 2 older have also exhibited this, they are into flipping stuff on Facebook Marketplace. So I come home, there is a mysterious dresser in the front of my house. What is this? Oh, Dad, don't worry about that. That's me. I'm selling that on Facebook Marketplace. And so they are like going out to thrift stores and flea markets and finding stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and they're trying to flip it and sell it.
Okay.
And
Are we doing volume here? What are we talking
well,
about?
you see, this is exactly the topic I wanted to kind of bring up, which is it's been so interesting to watch this, right? They're hustling, and the amount of time they're willing to invest in this for the payoff, right? So they're investing hours and hours talking to people on Facebook Marketplace, riding their bikes or taking the car out around and seeing if anyone's throwing away any junk that they can like resell.
So it's like not only they're taking inventory too. I like it.
That's right. And there's 2 things that are interesting that have come up here. One is it becomes very clear that the quality of a business really depends on your ability to produce inventory. That's the first thing, right? You have to have something to sell, and in that particular category, it's procurement. Like, how are you going to find the good stuff? And there must be some YouTube thing going on right now because they say there's like tons of kids doing this. And now that my eyes have been open to it, like when I'm walking around downtown, like yesterday, I saw 2 kids carrying a bunch of like old stereo equipment that they'd found somewhere. And I'm like, there's like a movement of kids flipping stuff.
Everyone's finally listening to Gary Vee.
That's right. Yeah. The Gary Vee meme has reached its apex. And so they're all going to garage sales. They're all like scrounging in the ditches to find product to sell. And so that's a problem, right? You got to be able to procure the inventory. But the second issue is distribution. It's like as soon as they start doing these businesses, I think they realize like, okay, I've got something. How am I going to sell this? How am I going to reach a customer? And scaling both of those is tricky.
I know where you're going with this, but isn't the Facebook Marketplace the distribution?
That Facebook Marketplace is part of the distribution, yeah, but they're trying to sell it at pawn shops. They're trying to sell it. They're doing all sorts of stuff.
Any value add in the middle? Like I'll take this dresser and clean it up and paint it?
Yeah, they're doing some value add cleaning it up, especially with like game systems. They're like trying to fix them if they're broken, and there's all sorts of stuff there.
It's great.
I love it, but it's been interesting to think about them, especially them seeing. Now they're in these algorithms where they're seeing people talk about businesses online. Another one that my son saw was there's this guy online, and he gets a bunch of businesses to advertise on a printed piece of card, and then he pays to distribute that to thousands of houses, and he makes a bunch of money that way.
Okay.
And in each of these cases, I'm just thinking, man, distribution is challenging. And when it comes to, let's segue this to building in software, it feels like the inventory problem is not an issue because now everyone's building with AI. You can build, there's tons of, creating your own inventory is cheap and free. Software has always had the advantage that we can make basically unlimited photocopies of something or have people access the same resource and it doesn't cost us more, right? So we've never had inventory problems. But the distribution part, getting customers, is the challenge. And every time my boys suggest this new business idea I've had, the immediate thought in my head is like, how are you going to find customers for this? And that's the gap,
Yeah, but also like, I feel like we should step back and just applaud the fact that like your kids, I mean, clearly they have the bug. They have the entrepreneurship bug. Whether that turns into a career as an entrepreneurship, but like, these are the early signs, right? Like,
That is, it is an advantage. Although I don't love the stream of sketchy strangers showing up at my house who now know my address.
Yeah,
They're just going up the learning curve and starting to identify issues with the business model, strangers coming to your house. Just one of them.
Yes. Well, and it is interesting, my one son is realizing some categories of things work better. So, for example, if you can pick up a crate of records at an estate sale, that has a different shape than like browsing Facebook Marketplace for hours trying to find a deal on, someone's getting rid of 6 video games and a game controller.
The records, just to like imagine myself doing this kind of business for a second, it seems like the really interesting angle are things like the records where the seller is probably some, old person who they're collecting dust in the basement somewhere, but the buyer is like, oh, that's the classic record I've been looking for, where
that's
they pay
right.
premium for it and they can't find it anywhere else, right?
That's right. So I'm wondering, what do you think? Because I was reflecting while I had time off. We left our last conversation. I had just built the first version of Spots.fm. Brian had just built Flywrite. Jordan had built this shift reminder tool. Now Brian's got Mimeo. And I'm just also have started browsing Twitter again and just looking at that. Everybody's launching stuff. It's like launch after launch, and every Slack I'm in, people are launching stuff. It just feels like I saw one the other day. It was like, I spent, $5,000 on credits and I built an Airbnb replacement. And I'm just like, okay, we've all built this stuff. We've got the same problem my kids have starting their businesses. Now what? What's the go-to-market strategy? And so I thought we could talk about this here. Like, what strategies do you see working now? Maybe Brian, you could start and talk about Mimeo and like what is it and how you're thinking about that.
I'll talk about Mimeo, which, by the way, for those who listened to last week's episode, I hinted at a product that I really wasn't sure if I'm even going to release it or not. I ended up releasing it, and it is called Mimeo, and you can check it out at mimeohq.com. I debated between like Get Mimeo and Mimeo HQ. Went with the HQ. I'll talk about that in a second, but higher level, stepping back, I think in all of our cases, and I would argue every person's case is extremely different from one another, not only in the business and the go-to-market and the product and all that, but in their personal, what am I trying to say? Like their personal story of what they're trying to do here. I mean, if I remember correctly, the thing that Jordan was hacking on, like, I think Jordan, it was more about you learning the tools, right? Learning the motions and like let's learn Claude Code and stuff.
Yeah, I've never been able to build anything before.
Yeah, like you're not really starting a second business here. You're learning the tools, learning the motions, right?
Yeah.
For me, builder methods is my business. That's still number one, my primary focus. And for me, first and foremost, I was building a email marketing software tool for myself to use in the emails that I send for builder methods, right?
Yeah.
That's my primary driver. And even if this Mimeo idea doesn't turn into any customers, like I still accomplished my number one goal, which is I have moved my email marketing onto my own email stack that I own. And that's that. And so I have a number of these internal tools that I have built. Like I probably have 3 or 4 other ones that I've built, but most of them don't reach the bar or don't meet a certain criteria that makes me think like this is interesting enough for me to release it or at least gauge interest to see if there's a potential product here. Like most of them are just so personal to me that it's like, all right, this is just a me tool. Cool.
Yeah.
Mimeo started that way, but I do think that there is a kind of a unique value proposition to it. It is everything that you would think of in an email marketing tool. So you would use it for, your newsletters, your drip sequences, your onboarding flows, your funnel emails, things like that, which are all things that I do in builder methods.
Yeah.
The difference is that it is self-hosted, or you like it. The plan is to offer it as a hosted service, or you can download it and buy a license and host it on your own server. And then the idea is like instead, it's an unbundling play, if you will, right? So I created what I think is my perfect email marketing tool, but I'm unbundling from the sending piece. So you would plug in your own sender, which could be Resend or Postmark or Amazon SES. I'm using Resend for mine.
Yeah.
And by doing so there's like a twofold value proposition there. Number one, I think it's a really interesting email marketing tool because it's got all the features that you would want in that, but it's also agent first, meaning you can run and manage and create and build everything in it using Claude Code or Codex or whatever agent you want, or you can use the nice UI to build out your automation flows. So like that's what I really wanted, and that was my personal driver just for years, getting frustrated with the kits and like the active campaigns and the drips. And
Yeah.
all. Like I've been through all of them, honestly, and they're all like nice to a certain extent, but then especially once you get into more complex automation flows where you have like promotional sequences and you want to make sure that these people over here don't get emailed while they're in the middle of a promotional sequence, and you got to make sure that you're moving this lead magnet person over to that sequence, and like it gets really complicated. And so once you start building that stuff out, you start to have to like, all right, wait, how does their automation work? I guess I got to contact support to ask how it's working under the hood, and they don't really know, and then I'm waiting 3 days. And so now in 2026, I'm at a point where it's just like, I want to own and run my own tools. Because if I have these questions, or if I have these paper cuts, or I have these complex needs, I want to just go into Claude Code and be like, help me figure this out before lunch.
Yeah. Can I pause you there though? Because I think that's going to become increasingly common, right? Like you build something for yourself, and then you say, well, why not just launch it publicly? I'm wondering what that does to the market, if anything has changed. Like there's always people that have launched projects, side projects, and for whatever reason, they didn't meet the threshold of whatever, caring about it
Viability.
enough or whatever. Like, do you think
me,
it's going to affect anything, or?
I do think that this design or this shape of a product is a model that will become more common going forward for most software businesses, in my opinion. But that being said, I just want to be really clear because, people follow along with the work that I do and I talk about here. Like Mimeo to me is not like I'm seeing if there's anything here. And frankly, like I was saying last week, like I'm not super confident in it as a product because like you do need to self-host it. You do need to plug in your own resend or postmark. I mean, we make it easy to do that, but you are still responsible for your sending and deliverability. Whereas like that is the value proposition that the bigger email marketing service platforms offer you. Is like they take care of the hard deliverability stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just choosing to trust resend or postmark with that. And also trust that like I have people who have opted into my list and I'm sending good emails and all that.
Yeah.
And like I sent a newsletter today and got pretty high deliverability on it. So like the first test of that is working. But but again, yes, I'm in terms of like go to market, like to me, builder methods is still my business. And if I personally, if I choose to release a tool like I did with Flywrite or now with Mimeo, I'm sure there will be other ones in the future. These are like products that I think some small segment in my audience might find interesting on the fringes. And I can line up an email or two in my email sequences in like the life cycle emails. It's like, hey, by the way, I created this tool. If you happen to fit this criteria, it might be worth checking out. And like, just judging by the replies, I have a very small percentage of my list who might be interested in this, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be choosing to do products like a CRM for plumbers, right? Like, because like there are no plumbers in my audience, right?
Yeah.
So like for me personally, like these products, Flywrite and Mimeo, some portion of my audience does these things. They work with markdown files. They like Flywrite. They do some email marketing and they're a little bit technical and they like the idea of owning and having your agents run your email marketing. Maybe Mimeo is interesting, but like my primary business is like builders, people who want to learn how to build with AI. That's builder methods.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jordan? What's percolating in your mind around this? I have two things. One is like focus and how much focus it really does take to get something to go to market. And in your particular case, you've been very focused. You're just like, so far you've been a one product person. It feels like all your ammo's behind that. What are you thinking about these days?
I'm less focused than I let on.
Okay.
I'm always scheming on something, and a lot of it just goes on in the background, and it doesn't make its way out unless it makes sense, which I think is fine. Maybe I learned that a while ago that people start to think you're a bit schizophrenic if you just share all of your ideas. So here's my take on what's happening to Brian, and I think more widely in the market in general, where the limitations that everyone bumps into in a platform like Kit or Drip or any other software that is aimed to have thousands, maybe tens of thousands of customers in a big market and do a really good job, but it is impossible to cover all the different parts. So if you think about a customer base of a product like, let's say, Kit, let's just say, I don't know, they probably have a lot of customers. Let's say they have 100,000 customers.
Yeah.
Out of that 100,000, let's just say it's 80-20, where 80% of the customer base is like, this is all I need. I don't need anything else. Then you have this 20% who bump into these limitations and wish that they could control more of it themselves, but it's simply not worth it to go out and do it themselves, or to go move to a different platform that they know might satisfy those needs, but will just introduce more limitations anyway. Right? This is the I've tried all the email marketing tools. They're all really good. They're all missing something. So like they're totally normal. You can apply that for CRMs. You can apply that to, I don't know, a lot of different product categories.
Yeah.
And so in the past, building your own tool was possible, but taking that next step and turning that tool that you built yourself into what I effectively see as like a call option. It's like, I want to have the ability and the right, if there's a lot of demand for this, then I'll turn it into a business. So turning it from your own tool into that used to be really expensive. You got to go build an admin, you got to build a login, you got to do the payments, you got to all these things that required a lot of work.
Yeah.
But now Brian can kind of go from this is my own tool to let me just flip this out as a call option in the market to see where the reaction is without that much commitment. It's not an enormous amount of time, and in some ways it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
And so,
look, yeah, sorry.
So right, what Brian is doing right now is like this very logical thing for someone with his skill set to say, I find this useful. I have no idea if there's like demand for like a multi-million-dollar business, but it costs me so little to go from my own internal tool, and it's good content anyway. So let me just flip it out there and then see what happens. There's very, very little downside. You can exercise the option if it makes sense, or you leave it out there and it's content and it's practice. So if that happens in a lot of different markets, maybe what it does is it chips away at that 20% in different products, and that like bifurcates into like these micro niche products. But it doesn't it doesn't destroy Kit, because the 80% is still very, very solidly in there on like, I'm not going to do all that stuff. I don't need to do all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you described my view of it exactly. Just to paint that picture a little bit more, like, I think I spent roughly 10 to 14 days building Mimeo, the application. So let's say like 12 of those days were building Mimeo, the app. And then to flip it to like have a marketing site and put a brand on it and do the copywriting and figure out pricing. I've gone, a couple different iterations on that. That was I call it like an extra 2 days for me. So it was like 12 days to make the tool that I want, 2 more days to put it out there, And so, but like, I also want to talk about, because it did turn into a case study. Like I wrote about it in my newsletter today. It is material. Part of what I do is I teach building. I need to keep my skills sharp and all that. The business model, I think, is interesting. Again, I don't even know how confident I am about Mimeo itself, but the shape of selling software this way, I think, is actually very interesting, especially for...
Can you go a little more into that?
Yes. So, okay, like we talk all about how your typical small business owner is not going to vibe code their own CRM, their own tools, right? Like even if Claude is capable of that, your typical business owner is A, not interested, B, too busy, doesn't have the experience or the chops or the design, the dev, the architecture to really put the pieces together in a real way, even if it's just for their own use and not an actual product. Like, I buy that. I do think that there's a segment in the world who are inclined to learn to build, but that's still a small segment of business owners out there.
Yeah.
I happen to attract them in builder methods, but I get it that your typical small business owner is not going to be building their own tools. So for all of us professional software makers, I think that the new model going forward in general is design and build the best software solution to a particular business's pain, but offer it in this format that I'm thinking of it like an agent first design, where it's essentially a Rails app with a management repo and some agent skills that you can install and then like the delivery can either be a self-installed, self-hosted, or a licensed model, or I'm sorry, like a provisioned model. So still basically hosting it just like a SaaS would. But I do think that there's a case for like offering it as like a downloadable, licensable piece of software, which is not new. That's been around for many years. But I think that model is going to be coming back. but also like the hosted model can still leverage the same idea, where we're not building AI into the product. We are just making every single surface of the product be accessible to your own, like bring your own agent, right?
Yeah.
API, MCP, get agent skills. Like with Mimeo, in addition to the code base itself, there is what I call like a Mimeo manager repo. And that's a folder on your own system that has all of your email flows, all of your email drafts, all of your email rules, all of the like configurations that happen in your Mimeo account, but it all lives in files on your file system that you can reason about with Claude Code. And then you can have Claude Code like design a whole email flow, automation flow, or draft some emails and push it up into your Mimeo. Like you can just manage it that way. Or if you're more traditional, want a nice UI, you just open up the web interface and do it that. So that works for me with Mimeo, but I think that like that type of model where it's like you have a web interface for the people who want to click buttons.
Yeah.
You have a file-based interface for you to use with Codex or Claude Code. And then you deploy it either like some companies are going to like want to self-host and some companies just don't, so they can buy your hosted version. Right?
Yeah.
But like,
two models.
and then I also think that like there can be a service component to it too, like custom installation, custom fittings, customized version to fit your business. Like sell the base software and then customize it. Like these are not groundbreaking new ideas, but I think that is the model that starts to make sense now that everybody wants to use software through their own agents. Like
here's a question on that, because it makes a ton of sense today, and I wonder if that's like a temporary state. Right.
Well, that's why I think it's a little bit
right,
more
because underneath,
I think that the old I tend to think, I could be completely wrong about this, but I tend to think that the 2022, 23 model of like wrapping models into your SaaS is more the temporary state. And this feels more adaptable and future-proof to me. Like,
isn't it like layering on that agent demand or like functionality that there's a lot of demand for on top of a service that doesn't currently have it, but might have it in the future?
Yeah, I think that I guess what I was saying about like I buy the fact that your typical business owner is not going to design and build and vibe code their own software, but professional software makers like us can make that software for them. We can just give it to them. But those business owners are going to become increasingly more comfortable with using their software through their own agents. That might not be
I agree with
mainstream
that 100%.
today, but I think that by next year, like most businesses are going to regularly be using Claude or ChatGPT to do most things.
And even the complexity of that will be abstracted out. Like, so I'll be managing things with my agents without needing to know exactly how to do it. From my side. Yeah, it's cool. It reminds me a little bit of a service that we use called LiveKit, which is it's like a model orchestrator. So we work with LiveKit, and then we get to choose which TTS model, which STT model, which LLM we want to use. And that gets passed through not only at cost, but because LiveKit is so big, we get their cost. So we get savings just by using them as the orchestration layer. And then we basically just pay them like an annual support fee. But it all wrapped up, and in total, we're better off. We pay less in total, even with paying them significantly for support, because they're coordinating underneath. And we get all this freedom to say, I want that model for this. Actually, this new Cartesia thing just came out. Let's try that for voice. And this new Gemini thing, let's give that a try. It gives us a ton of freedom. It feels much more long-term safe. Yeah. That we can just continue to use LiveKit. It doesn't matter what innovation comes out in the models, because we could still use it while going through LiveKit.
Yeah, and like I do think that there's like, if we're talking about is SaaS dead, which again I think it's very case by case, but
we're going to cover that later.
Yeah, but like SaaS apocalypse here.
Well, but like one thing that speaks to that is that like for me, by going this way, like I'm saving a ton of money. Like because that's like the second value proposition of something like Mimeo. And I think, again, I think this plays into this like general model going forward, which is like, if you think about an email marketing service, the reason why they're going to be just fine is because there are oceans of customers who just don't want to think
forever.
about the complexity, and they just want an email thing, but they are going to be paying hundreds or thousands per month as their list grows. And what you're paying for with your typical ESP is the entire email software suite, like your automation flows, your newsletters, your tagging, your all that, and the deliverability piece. And
So
like,
how do you make them
and
cheaper? Because you're just going right to the metal, right to the actual sender.
those two things I'm unbundling. The
Okay.
email software from the
Okay.
sending piece.
Now I get it. Now I get the picture.
I made the software, and I'm leaving the sending to resend, which if you're just paying resend, it's like half the cost.
Now that I get it, I think it has a lot of potential. What were you going to say, Justin?
Yeah, I think there's some tectonic plates moving here that I think is just so interesting, because in the same way, so email's one example. In the same way, a lot of people were paying thousands of dollars a month to Webflow. And why? Well, because Webflow solved a problem for them. It's like, well, we need a CMS, we need nice themes, we need some support, we need it to be fast, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And sure, like if you're just a nerd by yourself, you can build and deploy a great marketing website just from your local machine, right? No need for paying Webflow a bunch of money. But now these things are starting to converge. Now normal people are talking to Claude Code and saying, just Claude, build me a website. I want to host it on Cloudflare Pages, use Astro or something, and let's go. And this now, it changes the model, right? It's like, I see it. And the other thing that's happened is all these SaaS companies got increasingly complex, started bundling more and more stuff inside of it, and then got increasingly expensive. And so if you're, like the other day, my son is building a indie video game, and he's like, I need a thing for a simple email tool. And I'm racking my brain, like, what's a simple email tool these days? Like, they're all like, it's just tons and tons and tons of shit in there. And I see an opportunity now as these things are moving. It's like, what am I going to recommend that's just easy for people? So I thought of like button down email. It's just like dead simple email newsletter stuff. Or tiny.host is like dead simple drag and drop hosting. But then these existing folks out there, these existing SaaS projects, it's like there is something where it's like, man, we're paying thousands of dollars for this ESP, or we're paying thousands of dollars a month for this Webflow thing, for a CMS. It's like, do we need to do that anymore? If the interface has gotten better, meaning now we can just use Claude Code, for example, as the interface. If that's gotten better, then I think a lot of folks are going to be starting to make these decisions. The lines are going to get blurred all over the place.
And I also think that with ESPs, the percentage of people who are doing complex automations are really small.
Yeah.
Most people are doing very basic, like maybe a welcome sequence, and that's it. And some weekly newsletters or monthly newsletters of that. And I think that most people probably have this feeling, at least I've heard this from some people, is like, I'm paying all this money for this really complex tool that can do all these cool things that I know it can, but I've never done 80% of those things because I don't have the time or the experience to set up these complex automations. There's a sense of FOMO, like, ooh, that would be, we are leaving money on the table. There are holes in our funnel because we don't have the right email automations in place. But like, a lot of it is like, and people hire consultants to help with that. But I also just think that it's like those tools there's a balance where it's like they bolt on those like power features for the 10 or 20% who want them. But at the end of the day, they're going to cater to the masses who just need the basic stuff, which means like the power features only go up to so far, and that limitation really frustrates the power users.
Yeah. I think it's going to get challenging actually because like 90% of the software, I was going to bring this up. I had a bunch of screenshots. I was going to show you like QuickBooks Online. I go into that interface and every time I'm like, fuck, like I just want to like, I just want to go, I just want to do payroll. And then you go into, you finally find the payroll button and then it's like, and in my brain, I'm like, my first step is like, I'd rather just interface with this via MCP. But then my second thought is like, actually, what I'd really like is someone modern to just build an accounting software that's simple for my use case, powerful when I need it, and just let me interact. It's purpose built for interacting with Claude or whatever. And I think this is really going to change a lot of the way software is delivered. Because if you look at software, a lot of software invariably ends up being designed for the power user, even though it has lots of beginners using it. I mean, I don't want to pick on anyone, but like almost all the ESPs right now, I think are incredibly complicated for most users. Yeah. And now the power users are going to increasingly be like, I don't want to use your interface. Like your interface is slow and cumbersome, and I just want to interact with it through the MCP or the CLI.
But there's also like the intermediate user, the beginner to intermediate user can actually level up to more advanced when they have Claude Code with Fable to trust that it can implement their vision and without the mistakes that they would fumble through on their own, right? The other thing is like if you're an established SaaS company, any category, right? But a lot of at least some of the ASPs are taking the right steps now, like where they are offering an MCP, you know, and like 2-3 weeks ago before I built Mimeo, like my thought was like, all right, let me see if I can get Kit to do what I want it to do. Let me try out, you know, some other tools.
Yeah.
And like, you know, they do have MCPs now, but like the MCPs only surface like half of the functionality. They have no visibility into the actual automation flows, which to me is like the most important part.
Yep.
And so then I was like even hacking Claude Code. I was like, Claude Code, use the browser to like simulate clicking through an automation flow. And then I would do that, and I literally had it run overnight because it took hours to click every node and every button on its own because the MCP doesn't have visibility into that layer, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the SaaS companies are going to improve that over time, but like, you know, these are the established SaaS companies. They have to sort of retrofit these products to be agent ready. And what I'm saying is that if you just happen to be somebody who's starting a brand new product in 2026 or 2027, agent first. Like that was my guiding light in this, in everything I'm doing. Even the other tools that I do, it's like everything in the app has to start and end with, I can run it through my agent and I have a nice interface to look at sometimes. Like every functionality is accessible.
I do think that, let's get to SaaSpocalypse after this, but I do think the thing I'm noticing on my side is that I think, and Transistor is guilty of this too, our UI over the years has gotten more and more cumbersome. If I drop a brand new user in there, I can see them going, what's going on here? Like I think we're one of the best. I think we're simplest. But what's changed now is as more and more people start experimenting with Claude Design and Claude Code, etc., they're going to start going, I'm able to make really simple software that's easy to use. Now, a lot of people are going to be able to make really abhorrent software too, but some folks are going to be like, I've built a really simple tool that does 100% of what I need and want. That's my experience now. And then when I go into tools I didn't build, they're very cumbersome. The UI is bad. The UX is bad. So I think the danger for incumbents is the bar for good UX and good UI is just raised. I think we got to be so much better because eventually I think people are going to be like, well, okay, fine.
Well, yes, I think you're right, but I also think that there is just a fundamental challenge that like SaaS that are one size fits all are going to continuously hit or increasingly hit, which is like no matter how nice your UI and UX is, like every single business has their own special, unique needs. So, so like you can design the absolute perfect pristine flow for the plumber who has exactly this business shape and does this exact workflow every single day. You can optimize for that person, but you're still going to attract the electricians. You're still going to attract the general contractors, and their businesses are just slightly different. They have these different needs. It's like, okay, so what does that mean? Like this software does 70% of what I want it to, and then I'm going to, as the customer, I'm going to bend over backwards to like retrofit my business to fit your software model. Like that's the fundamental challenge that businesses are like in the old world. Like that's life, because like people just can't design their own software.
Yeah.
But in the new world, it's just an open question now, you know?
I'm thinking that the new model going forward is you're going to build your actual UI to be the simplest, most basic, most user-friendly version of your software. And then all of the power and features are going to just be available via the API, CLI, MCP.
I'm skeptical not on the outcome, but on the timing.
Yeah.
And it's such an enormous advantage to have an existing customer base.
Yes.
That I think it's I think it's more likely that an incumbent with a lot of customers, look, sometimes these organizations get too big and they become dysfunctional, and they kind of are unlikely to make the necessary changes. But if you think about a company, let's just say like Kit, it hasn't gotten to thousands of employees and is a disaster and dysfunctional, right? It's a good software company. If I'm managing that product, I'm looking at how to pull things in to satisfy the power users right there. It might not look the same. It's not going to be quite the same UI. There's a lot of stuff to figure out and experiment and fail. But if that's what users want, if that's what the power users want, this higher level of control, interaction with their agents from outside of the product, that's what I'm building over the next 2-3 years. And I don't think the market, look, for software products that are for software people, you don't have any time. You can just get smoked because everyone switches based on their needs and everyone knows how to pick things up and learn them quickly. But in the more generalized market, that gap in time, a lot of people you go out right now and they'll know what ChatGPT is. But if you go one half of a step deeper than that, they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so that will just take some time, but that amount of time is also the opportunity that those incumbents need to listen. There's a lot of talk I see on Twitter about like data models and the difficulty in retrofitting. And I hear that, but that just sounds like another business challenge. So there will always be and the power that now exists on the desks of people like Brian and others who just know how to do it. That will expand. So that market will go from 0.5% to 5%. But the 95% will still look to the incumbent into the product that everyone signs up for that they're used to help them transition from point and click, slow, boring, rigid, difficult to customize to, now in HubSpot, I can start to do all these things. I can also connect it to these external tools and they can, it's not like they win, it's just that they stay winning, right? They won't just like fall apart, throw their hands up and say, I guess, we can't compete anymore. It doesn't seem likely.
I think, and like, I always get kind of frustrated when it's like just these theoretical debates. This shit especially happens on X, which really bothers me. It's like, there's gonna
dude, if you don't like theoretical debates, don't go on X.
But like, to me, the question is like, is there a SaaS apocalypse, or what is the future of SaaS? Like, I think the answer is yes to all of these outcomes. Like there's just going to be all of these outcomes happening all at the same time. Like yes, incumbents with strong customer bases and existing distribution who are forward thinking and are doing the hard changes to adapt, yes, they will do great. It'll be hard, but they will do great. Are there going to be large SaaS that don't do that? Of course, and they're going to have a hard time. Are there going to be people like me who just replace most of my SaaS with my own custom built tools because I have the chops to do it? Yes, of course. Probably not a very large a number of people like me, but people like us, a lot of people listening to this podcast, I would think. But then I also think that there is also going to be a segment of businesses who do have the inclination to learn to build their own tools. I see these are members of Builder Methods Pro. They come in every day. Mm-hmm. They're not coders, but they are more technical than we like to give them credit for. They're just technical in their own operational way in their domain. And those people have distribution, and some of them are even motivated to turn them into products in their unique industry. So there's that. Might not be a huge part, but like that will definitely continue to grow. But then I also think that there's this other segment. I think that there's going to be an increase in consultancies and agencies and software shops who create and sell things like Mimeo and offer them as like, here's, use it as is, or you can customize it, or we can customize it for you. Mm-hmm. And you can run it with your agents. And like, all of these things are just going to continue to develop. It's not going to be like one of those options is going to be the answer,
Yeah. Well, on the topic of the SaaS apocalypse, Jordan, you had a interesting take on that, I think. What's your kind of take on the SaaS apocalypse?
So I think the conversation we're just having now is kind of a perfect segue, a perfect connection to this. So SaaS apocalypse refers to this big price correction in software stocks, software equities. I think it was like Q1. And what actually happened was not like a fundamental problem, meaning earnings came out and were really good. So all these legacy software companies reported great earnings. Mm-hmm. And so the price drop in this huge correction was not related to earnings. It was related to the capabilities of the models, of the AI models in the frontier. And the capabilities got to a certain point where investors started to get shaky on, okay, what do these new capabilities mean for these large software companies? And the market kind of tweaked out and just sold because there's a lot of risk and there's a lot of uncertainties, a lot of unknowns. So SaaS apocalypse was not driven by the companies performing poorly. It was people looking out. And when people value companies, right, I don't know how many finance people we have here, but DCF, discounted cash flow, is like a way to value companies. And basically what you're saying is, I can kind of tell how much this company is going to make over the next 5 years. It's pretty clear in the next year. It's decently predictable in the 5 years. Between years 5 and 10, it starts to get fuzzy. And then from year 10 to year infinity, as long as this company exists, I'm going to take all those and I'm going to call that terminal value. I'm going to say from the real fuzzy 10-year all the way out, let's just kind of put that all together. And then add those, the first 10 years plus the terminal value, and that's how much you think the company is worth. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Who sold off? Like what? Like is it like companies like Salesforce had a?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The big Salesforces, and I don't know. I'm blanking on a bunch of the others, but like the Amazon, the AWS.
Because it seems to be up in the last month now, but
it's definitely better now. But the way I want to connect this is to the private markets. Right, so SaaSpocalypse refers to what happened in the public markets, big publicly traded companies.
Yeah.
And the way investors look at the valuation of those companies, that DCF model, basically what happened was from like years 5 and onward, and that terminal value specifically, people started assuming was much lower than they used to assume. The beauty of SaaS is like, I don't know, you've been growing every quarter for the last 10 years. It's pretty likely it'll continue on. Therefore, I'm going to give you a great multiple because it's so certain. That certainness got hit with the capability jump. So people started to say, oh, we don't know what happens here in the future. And that has now made its way down all the way into the private markets.
Yeah.
So if you go out and try to sell your traditional software company right now, it's not a problem of multiples. It's a problem of no one's going to bid. The buyers are gone. And the buyers are gone because they can't get an acquisition through any form of investment committee. If you're a private equity company, you are handling other people's money. And in order to act on your fiduciary duty properly, you have a real process. You don't just buy things because you feel like it, right? It's like someone points it out, then they meet with the management, then they have a conversation, and then they put a package together and they bring it to an investment committee that looks at it and says, we either approve or disapprove. And you can't get anything through investment committee right now because of the uncertainty around AI moats. Are you roadkill? What's going to happen here? In the near future, in the long distance future, right? Private equity is not venture capital. It's not interested in any zeros at all. You get a zero, your career might be over.
So is this what happened to Airtable? Like it was valued at $4 billion, and then Bending Spoons just bought it for 1.28. Like a lot of people were surprised by that deal.
By the way, who is Bending Spoons?
Bending Spoons is
Bending Spoons is a
geniuses.
a lot of people would say they're a.
They're a holding company that is focused on cash flow, and they are buying legacy businesses like, can you look up the list? It's like a class. I think they own AOL.
Okay.
Yes, so that'll tell you. And
they own Vimeo.
AOL, a bunch of others. They're out of Italy, and they're just a private equity disciplined software company, and what they do is they look for cash flow. And so these growth companies, so
Airtable, Eventbrite, AOL, Vimeo, WeTransfer, Meetup, Evernote,
StreamYard, Evernote. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you're right, Brian. Justin, what happened to Airtable is a public market version of what's happening in the private markets.
Okay.
And that is capitulation. It is facing reality. There are no more buyers, right? Airtable is at $500 million in annual revenue and had $965 million in cash on the balance sheet, and sold for it's 2.2 billion minus the 965, like 1.3 actual enterprise value.
Yeah.
And that, if you can imagine that's happening in the public markets, in the privates, things are so locked up. And what's happened to me over the last few weeks is I see that, and I think right now is the best time to buy a private software company that there has been in the last 10 years in terms of opportunity. There are a lot of companies out there that are good, solid companies, and people have freaked out and gone way too far on the risk spectrum, and everyone's assuming that everything's going to zero, and if you don't have a very, very strong moat, like a piece of hardware attached to your product or some network effect or something else, that AI is going to make your business disappear. And that to me is like the biggest green light I have seen. So, if you say I'm very focused on one product, like, no, I want to buy another company right now. That's what I want to do.
So what are you looking for? Like what would pique your interest enough?
Get you in this SaaS today,
Yeah.
Jordan?
Raised $30 million at a $250 million valuation, stuck at 12 million ARR, 7-8 years old, founders are tired, VCs don't give a shit anymore. Let's make a deal so you can go get rich with your friends who are building an AI instead of your boring, fencing management software company.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a good one, because there's an emotional component to that, which is for the initial investors, like they're like, let's just get this off the balance sheet. Like someone comes and says, we want to take it over.
It's not doing what you want it to do. And if you offer them rolled equity in the new entity after you buy it, they don't have to mark it down to zero. Key component. So all this really, really works for VC-backed companies. A bootstrapper, if you're bootstrapping right now and you're 3-4 million in ARR, just wait. Don't sell. You go out to market to sell right now, you'll be disappointed, you'll be taken advantage of, you won't get the right price. Just wait, because this is so imbalanced that it will come back. It maybe what doesn't come back to absurd valuations and multiples, but it will come back toward normal. And a $5 million a year software company is worth a lot of money. Whereas right now, literally no one will even make an offer.
Yeah. And you're more bullish than on the fact that these companies have strong fundamentals. They're going to, the idea that AI is going to replace all of this stuff is overblown.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the short
I
term.
really agree with that take in general. Like that's why I really think that like established SaaS companies that have strong customer bases and they have strong distribution, like I really think that they're going to be fine, because the switching inertia of that's why I'm always much more interested and thinking about, and I put all my energy behind like people who are starting new things today, rather than like what the established SaaS people should do. Because like frankly, like I don't know, I don't care. I'm much more interested in like the person who's interested in starting something or building for themselves. Like.
Yeah, I just had that exact thought. I was going to ask Jordan, like, well, why wouldn't you just go out and just build everything fresh? But of course, what you're buying is you're buying the distribution, you're buying the existing customers, and you're buying them at a discount. And this is actually one place where bending spoons is much derided for like, being, I don't know, kind of a toxic acquirer. But one thing I did see them do well is their purchase of meetup.com, they've completely revamped the app and they've completely redesigned it. It's a way better product now. They did change their pricing. A lot of like small little meetup groups did not like it. But my guess is that the product is just doing better revenue now, better profitability now. And they got, as a part of that deal, a heavily discounted customer base, name brand recognition. Like Meetup is exactly what you call a meetup, right? So like, where do you post your meetup? It's going to be meetup.com. And then, all these holdouts, like I think it costs me $300 a year to host meetups on meetup.com. And at first I was like, shit, like da da da. But then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pay it. Like if I want to run a meetup, what else am I going to do,
Yeah. Yeah. And they're looking at it like you can protect your downside significantly. If you think about Airtable, like they're taking on $965 million in cash. They can pay out all the severance, all the things they owe, any debts in the company. The founders are making some money. Early investors are making some money. Everyone else is kind of not getting much. They'll cut the customer base. They'll cut the employee base. And they'll be even more profitable. And then they'll use that cash on the balance sheet plus the profit to pay off the debt that they're using to buy the company. And everybody kind of wins. Maybe some employees aren't going to win. And that is almost like, I don't even see that as Bending Spoon's fault. That's just the facts of the company.
If, like most of these companies just continuing on, like they're not going to continue with the same headcount either way.
Yes,
So.
it's just facing reality. And it's really, really much easier as an executive team to sell to someone else, make $50 million, and then have the other person fire 500 people, as opposed to doing it yourself. That's the truth.
I also wonder if there's like an opportunity, like if you're looking to buy, maybe this could be true more on like the lower end. I don't know, but like if like case studies in established SaaS companies making the right moves to readapt and realign for the agent era. Like success stories, like this SaaS that's been around for 10 years, they reworked their product and their value proposition and how they communicate to customers, and now they're riding right on through this agent era. Like if a playbook emerges for that, and a buyer can go out and find one of these 5-10-year-old SaaS companies who has not made those moves, who has not run that playbook.
Yeah,
that could be the opportunity, right? Like buy the established customer base, the distribution, the product, and take it into the next era. Right?
I think you've sold me, Jordan. It's almost like someone in the chat said zig when other people zag. And if everybody's building these fresh new products from scratch, but then they invariably arrive at the point where they're like, how am I going to get customers for this? How am I going to get distribution for this? The zag is, well, what products exist out there right now with 500, 1,000, 6,000, 10,000 customers? And you could go in, and it's a lot easier for, like you said, for a new owner to implement kind of new thinking once you've acquired it. It's like, okay, like we're going to have to get leaner. Also, we're going to have to change the culture. Also, we're going to have to develop differently. Like this old way of developing is going out the window.
Yep. Change the pricing. These are the things that are really, really hard to do with things kind of calcified. And someone new can come in and do it. And like my like deeper belief on this is that the public markets are going to be more favorable than they have in a long time in the next 2-3 years. Okay. So I think the move is acquiring like 100 million in ARR, doing this with multiple companies, and then going public. I think software companies and younger companies with a lot lower revenue are going to be interested and able to go public at a much, much higher rate than the last, 5 years, 10 years. You just look at like, if Stripe's not public, no one can go public. It's not even that they can't go public, it's that they're actually better off not going public. And that is so bad for the economy and like the country in general. There's a great podcast called Econ Talk. I think it's this one. And he had on recently the new SEC chairman. Yeah. And I think the title of the podcast is Make IPOs Great Again. Okay. Listen to that guy and what the government is trying to do. I just think, in the past, a company that got to 20, 30, 50 million, 100 million in annual revenue, they would just go public. And they would have access to capital. And now they don't, because the burden and the cost of being a public company is not worth it. But now that the private markets are actually getting mangled, I don't know if you see a lot of the tweets today about the Series A confusion, right? The Series A doesn't know what to do. No one knows what to do with Series A. Seed is like, okay, we're taking a chance. At Series A, it used to be like, get to $1 million in revenue and then go raise the Series A, and then that will allow you to kind of experiment. And now it's like, people are raising Series A's after getting to like 30 million in revenue after 1 year. Yeah. And so if you're not that, every other Series A investor is like, I can't take risk. Everyone else coming to me asking for money is either way too early or is so obvious that everyone wants to get in. Yeah. So it's like seed, and then everything else is basically growth equity. So the private markets are all screwed up too. And I feel like the public markets are going to emerge as a much more interesting path for entrepreneurs over the next few years. I don't know about you guys. Generally speaking, the last 10 years, I don't think about the public markets. I don't think about an IPO. I look at it once and I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
I think your Twitter feed looks very different than mine.
Brian, I was just going to say, this is why I like Jordan on the podcast, is he just brings a totally different point of view than I'm thinking.
Mine are mostly like Mets tweets and like random other stuff.
Mine's like this stuff and like the horror of anti-Semitism taking over the world.
I mean, you said, you guys probably saw those Series A tweets, and Brian and I were both like, nope.
Haven't seen a Series A tweet.
Series 1 now?
Well, that's very interesting. So, okay, this is not investment advice, but so just give me a few quick takes. Investing in the public now or in a significant way or waiting, what's your take there?
I literally know nothing about investing in the public markets.
Okay,
the best thing I've done is I bought Palantir a few weeks ago, and I look like a genius right now. Besides that, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, it goes so deep. I'm a just buy a fund and leave the thing alone. For
dollar
a long
cost
time.
averaging.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Okay.
Boring index funds all the way. That's it.
Yeah.
So, but on the other thing, it'll be interesting to see what deals people are going to start making now, and if it becomes more accessible to smaller funds. Like, are there going to be more Andrew Wilkinson like tiny funds, tiny, he's picked up Dribble and all these other things. It's like, is there going to be more of those where you just get a founder, the timing is bad. They're just like, I got to get out of this. I want to go do something more exciting. The investors aren't taking my calls. Let's write this thing off.
Yeah, a lot of people calling Bending Spoons these days.
Yeah.
A lot of inbound for Bending Spoons.
I'm not sure. I think I remember Andrew Wilkinson talking about on My First Million maybe a couple of months ago that they're doing some kind of pause in all their acquisitions over the past year.
I mean, Tiny did not do well, and they actually did go public on the Toronto Stock Exchange, but they got destroyed. Their stock's down 99%, kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that it's tough to come back because, as a holding company, you're taking this view of we're going to raise money to acquire these companies, then we're going to go public to have access to better debt and whatever else. And then if it doesn't work out, people start to lose faith, and then people don't want to sell their companies to you. So it's Tiny is not doing well. I don't know if they can come back.
Yeah.
Right. Tiny was intended to be like a Berkshire Hathaway of the internet type of approach, where you're buying for value. My understanding of working with Tiny from the limited view that I have and the few people that I spoke to, not a great experience for the company being acquired. Yep.
Interesting. All right. Well, this is great. We only got to two topics, but I got a meeting here in 15. So I think let's just end with some personal updates.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Why don't we start with you, Brian? What's going on in your world? What's kind of? I'm going to talk about my vacation. Yeah. How's everything going?
I'm still recovering from surgery. That's been a little bit of an adventure. There's that's been, there's like the life and the work side and compartmentalizing those things. And, but overall, pretty good. The girls are in camp right now for like a 4-week stint. So that's been nice for me and my wife to have like our house back every day.
All the kids in sleepaway camp?
No, not sleepaway. Like,
okay, just like
like a day camp.
But they're out from like 8 to 3 every day. So
yeah.
That's
you love
nice.
your kids, but summer, I think Emmett came into the chat. He's like, listen, I got to go because this is summertime right now. We got
like having a little bit of like a normal schedule in the house. That's been nice. Did a trip a couple weeks ago. We have another one coming up. We're going to go to Maine and go to the beach for a couple days, I think in like 2 weeks.
Nice.
That's about it.
What about you, Jordan? Sorry to hear about the health stuff, though, Brian. Hopefully that gets better.
Yes, absolutely. Priority.
What's up with you, Jordan?
I have kind of come to life a little bit over the last few weeks. I feel good. I got some good energy. I think coming back from vacation and kind of being happy to settle back into home has been great. I have been playing a ton of paddle.
Oh.
I used to do like Sunday nights, which is like basically have a few beers, hang out with your friends night version of paddle league.
Okay.
And I kind of pushed myself. I was like, I think I want to go more competitive. And so now I'm in like a more competitive part of the league. So
what is paddle?
That seems super fun.
Is paddle?
I miss being on like a team.
That's kind of I hear you. It's competitive. You're on a team. It's not that serious. At least I don't take it that seriously. I'm smiling when I'm losing. It's fun.
Yeah. Is paddle like it's like pickleball
padel.
or?
It's like pickleball, racquetball, padel. It's this hybrid thing. It's kind of like padel, but in the Midwest we do it outdoors in the winter, which is a very strange choice.
Okay.
And it's like chain link fence instead of plexiglass, and this very very like sandpaper like platform that you play on top of, and there's these big engine heaters underneath. It's an insane sport.
I've never even heard of it.
So this is padel. That's indoors, like reasonable people.
Okay.
Look up platform tennis.
Okay.
That seems like easier than tennis and not as boring as pickleball.
Yes,
it looks
pickleball's really
more
fun, but I'm not.
I tried
that's
pickleball.
right
I just couldn't get into it. But the and like tennis is like hard unless you're like really good at it.
Yes. Yes.
This just looks like a ton of fun.
It's really fun. So I've been doing that. I've been exercising. I don't know about you guys, how you do your like clothing shopping. I shop like once a year, and I kind of just like fill in all the blanks.
Same.
And then, so I'm like focused on it for like a week or two, and then I'm like, okay, now I don't think about it for another year.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of fun over the last 2 weeks, like learning all the new brands and all this other stuff, and I get a little more into it. I hope I can maintain my energy there, because I end up buying stuff and I'm like, I want to dress nice. I want to take my wife out to dinner and like look like an adult. And then it doesn't happen very often. So I'm hoping it's like, if I spend enough money on this shirt, I must wear it, right?
I went through a phase like that about a month ago too. I need some decent shirts.
Yes.
Because my whole life is in like sweats or shorts and t-shirts, and like we're super casual all the time. But then it's like I find myself like going to a conference or something. It's like I need to look kind of decent.
Well, we're
Yeah.
unprepared, because the people who go to work and get dressed Monday to Friday, they have years of wardrobe built up.
Yeah.
And we don't. That's it. And then tomorrow we're having a museum day. We're going to a slightly difficult museum exhibit for Anne Frank. And that'll be kind of an interesting experience with the kids to talk. Two of my girls have read her diary.
Oh, wow.
Right? And
Is that in Chicago?
It is in Chicago. Yeah. A big museum here. It's an exhibit there. And then we're going to palate cleanse and go to the Museum of Ice Cream right after.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yes. So it is no joke how much you spend these days going to a museum. It's probably like $1,000 day, between.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hardcore, right? I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this is how it goes these days.
Whoa.
But very exciting. It's supposed to be like, 75 and sunny. So we're going to have a great family day.
That's
The
awesome.
amount we spend on ice cream is far from zero.
Yeah, nowhere near zero.
Yeah, we've got an ice cream budget.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just came
want
off
to
a
ask
great-
you what kind of ice cream you're into, but let's listen to Justin first.
Yeah. I just came off a great
Cookie dough, come on.
2-week trip. Went to Toronto for 3-4 days to visit our son, and then took the train from Toronto to Ottawa, and then took the train from Ottawa to Montreal, and then took the overnight train from Montreal to Halifax. It was really fun. I'll just share one story, which is I met the lead singer of this band, MXPX, is Mike Herrera, and I met him through podcasting 10 years ago or something. And he'll DM me every once in a while. I'll DM him every once in a while. But it's a very like internet like acquaintanceship,
Okay.
And I think 3 or 4 months, MXPX came to Vancouver, and I bought tickets. My wife and I went. It was great. And then afterwards, he messaged me. He's like, "What? You were at the show? Why didn't you come backstage?" And I was like, I was way too nervous. I was like, I'm not going to do this. So fast forward, we're going to Toronto. I'm looking at events in Toronto, and Goldfinger is playing. And Goldfinger is a very famous ska band.
Yeah,
they had
I still listen to
they're
them.
on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater soundtrack.
Okay.
And Mike is now the bass player for Goldfinger. He's been that for the last 4 or 5 years. And so I messaged him, and I was like, "Hey, like, you guys are going to be at Toronto this night. I should go get tickets." And he's like, "Oh, don't get tickets. I'll just get you tickets." I'm like, okay. So I don't know what
VIP
this
over here.
means. I said to my wife and son, I'm like, "I think we should go to this." And my son's like, "I don't know. I was like, let's just go." So we go, and he messages me. He's like, "Come backstage before the show." And I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I go. I have no idea what that means.
But you're going to look cool in front of your son. So
Yes,
you
yes.
got to do it.
But I didn't want to ask Mike that because I was like, embarrassed. So,
what are the logistics on this?
yeah, like, what does this mean? Like, do I just talk to somebody? So we go to Drake
You go to the
has
guard,
a
like, no, he
venue.
said it's cool. You can let me in.
Drake has created this venue in Toronto, which is where the show is. So we show up, and I just go to the ticket office. I'm like, they're like, "Hi," and the whole time I'm like, Mike said he was going to leave some tickets for us, and they're like, "Okay."
So you're not playing this cool.
No, that's like cool. And then they're like, "Oh yeah." And so then they say, "Here, give us your hands," and they give us these these bracelets. And I wish I'd noticed right away that they were a different color than everyone else's, but I had no idea. And then I'm like, I'm new to this. I'm like, Mike said to go backstage before the show. Like, what do we do? And they said, oh, yeah, well, you guys just have the right wristband. Just show that to security and then go into the venue, past the stage, just show it to the security at the doors there, and they'll let you in. Okay. So we go into the venue is already packed. It's like thousands and thousands of people like getting ready for this show. And so I felt like I was like holding my wife's hand and she's like holding my son's hand and we're like going through this, like this didn't really happen, but that's how it felt. And then I get to the security, like holding everyone's hand and we're just like, and immediately they're just like, yep. They open the door, let us in. We are in the back. Like there's like band members from Goldfinger walking around, going on their smoke break. There's like all this stuff happening. And we're just kind of like, it's like, I'm just like holding my family's hand in the back. It's like, is Mike here? And they're like, oh yeah, he's in the green room upstairs. We're like, okay. So we start going upstairs. We look to our left. The stage is right there. Like the first band is already on. I could have gone out and like punched the guy in the face. I could have grabbed the mic. It's just like all there. And we're just like, what is going on? We walk up to the top, open the door, come in, and we're just like stepped into the green room. The band is like hanging out on the couch. They're just kind of like, hey, who are you guys? I'm like, I'm here to see Mike. And they're like, oh, I don't know where Mike is. And I'm just like, okay. And then I'm like just kind of standing there with my family awkwardly, like waiting for.
Oh my God, this is cool.
You didn't bring any drugs, you know. You got nothing.
And so we keep walking. I say, okay, let's go back downstairs. We'll look for like, like who's around. And as we go downstairs, who comes to the doors but John Feldman, who's the lead singer of Goldfinger. And he just kind of like looks at us and goes, hey. He's like, and I'm like, hey. He's like, I'm John. I'm like, I know who you are. Where's Mike? So we finally find Mike. This is the first time I've met him in my life. And instantly it was like, once I saw him, I was like, okay, now it's cool. Because I've had conversations with him. It's fun. Yeah. He's like, yeah, let's go up to the green room. Up to the green room, he asks us, hey, you guys want a beer or anything? So we had this beer. And the whole time we're just like, this is wild. Anyway, they get ready to go do the show. We go back out and it's so packed. We can't find a spot to look at the stage. And then one of the security sees us and goes, you guys know there's a VIP seating area upstairs, right? We go up, they let us through this curtain. There's all these like nice tables and chairs set up, and you get like table service for drinks and everything. So we watched the whole concert from up there. The whole experience was just wild.
Incredible.
And then afterwards, Mike said, come and hang out after the show. And so there's like a door at the top of the VIP area, and we just walked through that. And once again, we're right in the green room again. We're just like, whoa, what is going on here? So
that's incredible.
Anyway, that whole experience was just like crazy. My son's brain was just like what is going on here?
That's awesome.
You must have
Goldfinger's a
got
good band.
there.
I still listen to them.
Yeah, it was
Superman,
very
right?
it was very weird seeing like thousands and thousands of people who are just like crazy for this band, and to think I was just hanging out with them on a couch, just like, and they're just
Amazing.
Totally normal, and like it's a little bit underwhelming even. Like they're just like there to do a job, and like and
They've just been on the road for 4 decades.
yeah. Anyway, that's just one story from the trip.
Amazing.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Good work. That's what happens when you go backpacking, through Europe on the Euro train.
That's
Great
right.
stories.
That's right. You get some stories. All right, everyone, thanks for joining us. We are back, I think, next week, right? Next Friday we'll be here. Great to see everyone in the chat. Hey, Pascal, nice to see you drop in at the end there. And We'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, folks.